The day after, as investigators try to identify those killed in the Rhode Island nightclub tragedy, accusations over responsibility for the fire and the condition of the building. Sharing the loss, the ripples of grief that the big fire set off across a small state. Transplant failure. Jessica Santillan is declared brain dead and taken off life support. Target Iraq. The UN demands the destruction of Iraq's longest-range missiles, while President Bush says the UN's next move should be its last. And on patrol in the Persian Gulf with sea lions protecting America's warships.
There's something in the water that doesn't belong. When the animal's out on patrol, they'll find it.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. One day after the devastating nightclub fire that claimed 96 lives, there are two overriding themes gripping the people of Rhode Island tonight. The criminal investigation into who was responsible and the grief felt by almost everyone in that state. First to the investigation. We begin our coverage with NBC's Carl Quintanilla at the command center in Cranston, Rhode Island. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, John. Tonight, the death toll still at 96, 80 victims in the hospital, and a more intense investigation of who's to blame. The building, once on fire, today soaked by rain. Frustrated officials declaring most of the on-site investigation over.
It's not a nice scene, but you work with what you have.
Efforts now focused on the identification of bodies. At this morgue, 25 doctors from around the country are still poring over dental records, painstakingly matching the victims' teeth with records from local dental clinics.
If we can get all of the dental records, we can get that information, we have all of the resources in place to start matching these up fairly quickly.
With fingerprinting too inaccurate and DNA testing too difficult, the process could take days. At the same time, the criminal investigation into who's responsible continues. Jack Russell, the lead singer of the band Great White, said Friday that club owners Jeff Dedarian and his brother gave him approval to use pyrotechnics.
We don't use them every show. We use them, at shows that we have permission to use them. Sometimes we've had permission to use them, but it's always with permission. We never do something just arbitrarily.
But a copy of the band's so-called rider agreement with another club, obtained by the website smokinggun.com, says nothing about pyrotechnics, despite the fact it lists specific demands: access to showers, risers for drums and keyboards, and pizza after the show.
In their rider, there was nothing to the fact of that there would be any pyrotechnics.
Rhode Island Attorney General Patrick Lynch said the investigation continues. He predicted what he called a menu of charges, even refusing to rule out homicide.
We're looking at every law on the books in Rhode Island and the facts, and then applying the appropriate law and bringing charges if and when appropriate.
Today, a clearer picture developed of the club itself, a congested building that was highly combustible, and questions about Rhode Island's fire laws, which didn't require the club to have sprinklers.
So there's similar facilities, old wood buildings that are not sprinklered that are being used for similar kinds of activities. I want to know that, and then we want to get those things inspected.
Late tonight, the owners of the nightclub spoke out.
At no time did my brother or I have any knowledge that pyrotechnics were going to be used by the band Great White. No permission was ever requested by the band or any of its agents to use pyrotechnics at the station, and no permission was ever given.
John, tomorrow the governor's office planning the first trip for family members to the disaster site. The media attention so intense there will be a 5-mile no-fly zone in the skies. John?
NBC's Carl Quintanilla. Carl, thank you. In the small state of Rhode Island, the tragedy has had a tremendous impact, in part because so many seem to have connections to the victims. We continue now with NBC's Pat Dawson.
As a cold rain fell steadily, the mood darkened across Rhode Island today. The reality of loss taking hold.
She's my closest friend, like a sister to me.
Her name is Bonnie Hamlin.
Bonnie Lynn Hamlin, 27 years old.
For those whose loved ones are among the missing, like Ellis Hickey, hope is now just a fragile thread. but it's all they have left.
We're so desperate to find her.
Yesterday, Erin Whalen lay in a hospital bed happy to be alive, but wondering about a close friend who'd helped her escape.
I actually had her shoulder. And she squeezed through the door and somebody cut me off.
Her friend is still missing. The hard truth Rhode Island is learning today is that grief is very close. It has touched someone you love, someone you know, someone you talked to just the other day.
You know, people say around the world there are 6 degrees of separation. In Rhode Island, there's about 1.5 degrees.
At the Centerville Savings Bank, business went on as usual today, a day after managers waited at the door, apprehensively counting heads as their employees arrived.
There were 4 or 5 of our employees that didn't make it in that day for one reason or another.
As it turned out, all were safe, but not untouched by the tragedy. Kimberly Petrarca's mother was in the club, but survived. Another employee's son was missing. The husband of another was in a hospital on the critical list. And as the hours passed, relief that none of the bank's workers were lost has been tempered by the growing knowledge of how many others were. Grief isn't felt any more deeply in small communities like this than it is in big cities, but in some ways, the sorrow and loss is more personal.
It was a domino effect, and as things started progressing, it was more and more known that, gee, we know this person, we know that person. We may not know that person, but we know his brother and his sister.
A harsh fact being learned all across this state as the full scope of their loss settles in. Pat Dawson, NBC News, West Warwick, Rhode Island.
A late development tonight in the story of 17-year-old Jessica Santillan. 2 weeks ago, she received a heart-lung transplant at the Duke University Medical Center, but the organs were the wrong blood type. Then on Thursday, she received a new transplant. But today, doctors declared the teenager brain dead and removed her from life support. NBC's Ashley Banfield reports from Durham, North Carolina.
After 2 desperate weeks, Jessica Santillan's family said doctors gave them final word. At 1:25 this afternoon, their daughter was clinically brain dead.
Based on the outcome of these tests and other examinations, Jessica's doctors have pronounced that Jessica has died.
The news followed 2 final tests today and added to an excruciating ordeal for her family, leading to the decision to take her off life support. But there was confusion over just who could make that decision, doctors or the family.
He said that if we wanted to disconnect her, it would be our decision. And now he's telling us another thing.
Duke Hospital announced late this afternoon that Jessica's ventilator had been removed at 5 p.m. Now the question remains about whether the family will pursue legal action over the mistake that got Jessica here in the first place.
We have not had any in-depth discussion about that. They have made no decisions.
If the family sues, it may be tough to find out who is ultimately responsible for the original transplant mix-up. Duke admits the chief surgeon made a mistake by asking the donor agency to forward the heart and lungs without confirmation of their blood type.
When the organs were offered to Jessica, he felt that implied confirmation of compatibility, and that was an incorrect assumption.
But that's not how the donor agency describes it. Carolina Donor Services says, quote, "We immediately relayed this organ offer and the donor information to the on-call transplant surgeon at Duke. The surgeon accepted the organs offered for Jessica. And it may all come down to a question of memory. Duke's initial investigation found that, quote, the transplant surgeon does not recall receiving or requesting information regarding the donor's ABO or blood type from the procurement coordinator who released the organs for the specific recipient." Meanwhile, the family struggles with its loss.
Jessica's work on this earth is done, and she is now an angel.
Leaving a family exhausted from one fight and perhaps facing another. Ashley Banfield, NBC News, Durham, North Carolina.
Now to Iraq. President Bush said today he expects the United Nations to pass a new resolution in the Security Council next week that could be Iraq's last chance to disarm. Meanwhile, the chief UN weapons inspector turned up the heat on Saddam Hussein. NBC's Rosalind Jordan reports.
Even as President Bush warns Iraq it's running out of time to disarm, He met today with one of his key allies, Spanish Prime Minister Jose Maria Aznar, one day after the chief UN weapons inspector told Iraq it must destroy all of its Al-Samud ballistic missiles discovered in a recent inspection. The president was openly skeptical Hans Blix's order will make a difference.
If Iraq decides to destroy the long-range weapons, that's just the tip of the iceberg. My question is, why aren't they to destroy every weapon? Illegal weapon.
Bush and Aznar are both trying to build as much support as possible for a second UN resolution, which the president says will be introduced next week. Aznar has already met with Mexico, a rotating member of the council, for input on the resolution.
Sobre lo que no hay todavía.
It's difficult to ask for an agreement on something that doesn't exist yet.
Meantime, the UN's top nuclear weapons inspector says Iraq is still less than forthcoming about its weapons programs.
We have been saying that in the next few weeks, we would like to see full and active Iraqi cooperation, primarily in the area of evidence in the field of chemical and biological weapons. That's really, if you like, the big ticket item.
U.S. troops in Turkey are renovating a key port in case Ankara does let thousands of American soldiers stage near the Iraqi border. And the U.S. military was the target of anti-war demonstrations in Germany and Italy. The Italian protesters kept a train filled with weapons from reaching a U.S. installation. Still no reaction tonight from Iraq to the missile destruction order. Some observers say that how Iraq decides to respond will be considered a major test of its willingness to obey international law and perhaps avoid war. Rosalind Jordan, NBC News, the White House.
And this program note, tomorrow on Meet the Press, the topics are Iraq and presidential politics. Among Tim Russert's guests, Democratic Representative Richard Gephardt. Still to come on NBC Nightly News, the morality of war with Iraq. The Pope, outspoken against the war, meets Tony Blair, President Bush's strongest supporter. Were any minds changed? That story in depth. And later, if there is a war, these creatures of the sea will help defend America's Navy.
In my 30s, I tried everything for my headaches. Then I turned to Bayer aspirin and the pain went away. In my 40s, I started getting bad back pain and Bayer came through again. Now I have arthritis in my knees and I still depend on Bayer. Bayer goes to work right at the site of pain and inflammation. Nothing works better. For relief I can always count on, there's still no better choice than Bayer. And aspirin is the only pain reliever that can help save your life.
Bayer. Take it for pain, take it for life.
So, you want to open a checking account?
Yes, but I don't want to pay for it.
Right. And you want online banking?
Right, if it's free.
And unlimited online bill paying?
I don't want to have to pay for that either.
No. So you want total security protection on your check card, free?
Look, I just don't think I should have to pay for any of it.
Neither do we.
Free checking plus with direct deposit from Bank of America. Higher standards.
Winning a gold medal in any field makes a bold statement. That's why we're proud to announce that Smart Balance Buttery Spreads have been judged the best tasting in the soft vegetable spread category by the American Tasting Institute. Smart Balance helps to improve the ratio of good to bad cholesterol with no trans fatty acids and no hydrogenated oil. It has the right balance of fats you want in your diet. Use Smart Balance Buttery Spreads, the sensational taste for healthy eating.
Marie Callender made her chicken pot pie with tender white meat chicken and a golden flaky crust made from scratch. And we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie, made with the care of Marie.
Post-shredded wheat is rich in whole grains and can help reduce your risk of heart disease. So it sounds as good to your ears as it does to your taste buds.
1, a faster processor. 2, a big hard drive. 3, CD burner and DVD drive. 4, more memory. And 5, a big monitor. That's 5 better features that come with a Gateway PC right out of the box. That's 5 better reasons to buy a Gateway PC. Give us 5 minutes and we'll tell you more about it. Call, click, or come in. 5 better reasons. A better way. Gateway.
Gateway 500 series PCs feature Intel Pentium 4 processors.
NBC News in depth tonight. Britain's Prime Minister met with the Pope today for a straightforward exchange on Iraq. Both men agreed the debate pivots on clear moral principles, but their views on which principles and what should be done couldn't be more different. In depth, here's NBC's Patricia Sabka.
The meeting brought together two of the leading protagonists in the ideological rift over Iraq. Pope John Paul II, one of the most outspoken critics of a possible war, and British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who on the eve of the meeting restated his argument for ousting Saddam Hussein.
If we leave Saddam in charge of Iraq with his weapons of mass destruction, where does that leave the Iraqi people, who are the principal victims of Saddam?
The first British Prime Minister to meet with the Pope in more than 30 years, Blair, an Anglican, has a personal connection to the church. His wife and children are Roman Catholics, and he often attends Mass. Despite arguments from the U.S. and Britain, the Pope refuses to endorse a possible attack against Iraq as a just war.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Last week, he received Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz, and this morning, the Pope urged Blair to make every effort to avert war. Blair also views the crisis in moral terms, but believes military action is justified.
I think he sees it absolutely as a conflict between right and wrong, good and evil.
Blair has held firm in spite of a brutal backlash at home. Last week, around 1 million people gathered in London for Britain's largest peace demonstration ever. A poll this week showed Blair's personal approval rating plunged to its lowest level in 2.5 years. And Thursday, Britain's senior Anglican and Roman Catholic archbishops questioned the legitimacy of Blair's war arguments. But few believe Blair will alter his position.
People don't like to be denounced, as it were, by men of God. But I don't think it will deflect him.
While church leaders may win the moral high ground, they don't control the military. And in the end, it's up to politicians like Tony Blair to decide whether to go to war against Iraq. Patricia Sabga, NBC News, London.
And when we come back, the Secretary of State turns his attention to the Far East and the crisis in Korea.
When you have acid reflux disease, heartburn boils up again and again.
But bad as the heartburn can be, the real threat is what lies beneath.
Over time, that burning acid could wear away the lining of your esophagus, and even if your heartburn symptoms aren't severe, the damage can be.
I didn't know.
Your doctor knows about a purple pill called Nexium. Nexium goes to the source of the problem, actually reducing the amount of acid your body creates.
For many people, one prescription Nexium a day provides complete 24-hour
day and night heartburn relief.
And importantly, Nexium is proven to heal acid reflux erosions in the esophagus. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and a free trial offer for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the purple pill called Nexium.
Resistance is futile. Cadillac CTS. Breakthrough.
Ask your doctor today if Lipitor is right for you.
There are over 100,000 firms that prepare taxes. How do you choose the right one? Look for a guarantee. With H&R Block's Satisfaction Guarantee, you don't pay until you're completely satisfied. It's one tax advantage we should all enjoy.
Leftist rebels in Colombia tonight are claiming they shot down a U.S. government plane last week and are holding 3 Americans as hostages. The Pentagon is sending 150 American troops to Colombia to join in the search for the men. The U.S. says the plane crashed in the rebel-controlled area after developing engine trouble, and that the three are civilian contract employees of the Defense Department. Now to the crisis in North Korea and a mission to Asia by America's top diplomat, Colin Powell. NBC's Ned Colt in Tokyo tonight.
Secretary Powell arriving in Tokyo today, bringing a message of thanks to Japan for its support of the U.S. on Iraq. But Powell is also in East Asia to persuade Japan, China, and South Korea into pressuring North Korea to abandon its nuclear program. The North may already have as many as 2 nuclear weapons and has threatened to build more. The North demanding face-to-face talks with the U.S., and it wants Washington to provide assurances it won't be attacked after Iraq. The impoverished North also wants American shipments of food and fuel to resume. They were halted late last year, retribution for the North's restarting of its nuclear program. Now, Secretary Powell is indicating Washington may resume aid, a conciliatory gesture to ease hunger and tensions. It's a move that would be welcomed in uneasy Japan. Japan is only 800 miles across the sea from North Korea, and while relations between the two neighbors have never been good, right now they are at their most tense in years. Last year, the North admitted kidnapping Japanese in a bizarre plan to train spies. Only a handful of the missing Japanese were sent home. There was the spy ship incursion. The Japanese Navy fired on, then sank a fleeing North Korean spy ship in its waters. And in 1998, the North test-fired a missile right across Japan into the Pacific.
The view in this region is this is a dangerous, unpredictable regime in North Korea. We don't know what's negotiable, but let's find out. And the only way to find out is have the U.S. negotiate with North Korea.
But face-to-face negotiations are still being ruled out by Washington. In the next 3 days, Secretary Powell will likely hear not only from Japan's Prime Minister Koizumi, but also from Beijing and Seoul, that direct talks are the best way to ease tensions in East Asia. Ned Colt, NBC News, Tokyo.
1 week after a massive snowstorm buried much of the East Coast, it's another night of nasty weather. This time, it's rain on top of the snow, causing flooding and the collapse of a number of store roofs. At one Toys R Us in suburban Washington, at least 9 minor injuries were reported when the roof gave way. Rescue workers are checking the building to make sure no one is trapped inside. And there was an early morning jolt in Southern California. A magnitude 5.4 earthquake was centered in Big Bear City, about 90 miles east of Los Angeles. No injuries or major damage was reported. And a note tonight, there is much more available on our top stories on our website at msnbc.com. Among the information you will find an interactive report on organ transplants. You'll also find complete coverage of the nightclub tragedy in Rhode Island. When NBC Nightly News continues, under the sea with the Navy's newest recruits.
Oh, well, we've worked too long and hard to let a bad market postpone our retirement.
Will you have enough income to maintain your lifestyle?
We've done the proper planning.
Yes. Oh, and Merrill Lynch financial advisors looking beyond 401ks and IRAs to mortgages, insurance.
Protected growth investments.
These days you have to.
Are you confident with Merrill Lynch?
You bet.
Most definitely.
Introducing Total Merrill. We see your financial life in total.
The more it hurts, the more you need the Icy Hot Patch. It concentrates pain relief right where it hurts. Icy first to dull the pain, then hot to relax pain away for hours of relief. The amazing Icy Hot Patch.
Fantastic how long it works.
When you run a restaurant, you're only serving one thing. Taste. That's why I use Equal. There's no aftertaste like with some sweeteners. You like rich, creamy cheesecake? I make it with Equal. I love it. 0 calorie Equal. Have you tried it lately?
C. Move. Beat. The future of vitamin C is here. Ester C, a patented non-acidic vitamin C that supports your immune system and the health of your eyes, joints, and cardiovascular system. Don't settle for less. Ester C, your body will know the difference.
Yo, yes, you're excited. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Beneful. You've never seen anything like it before. It has wholesome grains, real beef, even carrots and peas. So there's carbohydrates for energy and protein for those serious muscles. And you even get some vegetables.
So happy.
Love it so much you only think you're getting spoiled.
Yes, you do. But it's good for you, too.
Healthful, flavorful, Beneful. Beneful brand by Purina.
What's as gentle as Senecot natural vegetable laxatives? Senecot tablets contain 100% natural senna. The original senna laxative shown to be effective in 50 clinical studies. Yet Senecot gives you overnight relief from occasional constipation gently. Senecot works gently, works overnight.
Sunday, a debate over war with Iraq. Kucinich and Pearl square off, plus an exclusive interview with presidential contender Gephardt. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Bono, The Edge, this morning, only on Today.
Finally tonight, the Navy's elite SEAL teams are well known for their daring and expertise, but some other underwater warriors are on patrol these days, and they are much more suited to the task. They swim further, dive deeper, and brave colder waters, and don't need fancy diving suits or rubber flippers. NBC's Dan Lothian reports.
All right, Neve, put your head through there.
America's new soldiers in the war on terrorism respond well to commands.
Salute. Back up.
Sea lions and their torpedo-like bodies, long a fascination for the public and researchers. Can I touch?
Yes, yeah.
Now drafted into duty in Bahrain, protecting America's main naval port in the Persian Gulf against dangerous human intruders who might be bent on blowing up a vessel.
If there's something in the water that doesn't belong, when the animal's out on patrol, they'll find it.
The sea lions trained for the Navy in San Diego to carry a special clamp rigged to a line and a flotation device, then attach it to a suspicious diver or swimmer. Human handlers can then relimb the suspect.
Hi, Mr.
Dr. Jennifer Hurley, a leading civilian sea lion trainer and researcher near Monterey, California, says these mammals are ideal for the job because of their sharp skills and sharp senses.
They have excellent hearing underwater, and they have very large eyes. And they're able to collect the small particles of light that might be underwater in dark areas and see where we cannot see.
Essentially, the Navy has found a diver that in some cases can outperform its elite Navy SEALs. Sea lions have the endurance to dive down 1,000 feet and back up to the surface all day long. Some are rigged with video equipment, providing up-close underwater surveillance.
They have the ability to go inside of piers. They're a lot more agile in tight places in the water than dolphins are, and they're easier to transport.
And they appear to adapt better to changing water temperatures. While some animal rights groups object to these active-duty military missions, Gary Tiscornia, Monterey County's SPCA executive director, who's consulted with trainers, says his concerns have been satisfied.
If the Navy fulfills its commitment to use them only for surveillance defensive purposes, guarantees them a life after they're retired from service, we think it is admirable that they're defending the lives of our personnel in the Gulf.
Willing to work, obeying orders, for a meal ready to eat. Dan Lothian, NBC News, Monterey, California.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow night.
NBC News, America's news leader.
For 4 days only, surplus government vehicles purchased by Bill Hurd will be sold to the public for only $99 down and $99 a month. Every vehicle $99 down. Payments starting at $99 a month. Rush to Bill Hurd Chevrolet in Nashville today.
We have been a Nashville tradition for 40 years. Our breads and desserts are made fresh. The grilled salmon is cut fresh daily. We bring you an array of home-cooked food at affordable prices. And remember, we package all our foods to go.
Visit Bellmead Cafeteria.
Don't you really want a leather sofa?
At Furniture Factory Outlet, we know leather. And right now we have over 200 leather pieces to choose from, like this nail head sofa, even this bomber jacket sofa, leather everywhere your body touches. Your choice, $688. Oh, it gets better. Buy 2 pieces, save even more, only $1188 for both. As always, buy it today, take it home today at Furniture Factory Outlet, where we really know leather and we save you money.
Hey, Steve, what is this?
Karen, I'm making my